All right, hello and welcome back. My name is Jason Linett. I'm a board-certified hypnotist. I'm an instructor here with the NGH, and welcome to our third installment of this NGH Hypnotism Success Series. Shooting this video here today in front of our live class here in my classroom here in Alexandria, Virginia, and what I'm about to share with you on this month's video is something that I feel extremely passionate about. Many of you have already heard me talk about this as a concept. You know, the whole concept of the Ron Popeil line that I love, the inventor who one time had a Showtime rotisserie grill, put the chicken in there, closed the door, and the theme was set it and forget it. So consider, as we run a business, the quote that I shared of my own several months ago, well, you really can't do it all yourself. So you might as well learn how to do it all yourself. And the strategies I'm going to begin to share in this video are exactly the ways that I have built this business that I'm here at today. In 2013, a gross profit of more than $200,000, and many of that was done without a lot of hard work. Many of that was done in terms of just working smarter, not harder, putting these tools in place just to really let the workshop format in terms of how I begin to work with my clients, how I interact with them, how we really begin to put the work together. And the easiest way to make it all happen. What I'd share with you is that the scope of things here, I do have a staff here. I do host a number of ongoing trainings, whether my own, whether they're other events we have hosting, several of them coming up soon. And every time I'm about to get into that kind of overloaded mindset of I've got so many things up in the air, I've got to simplify things down. The strategy that I'm sharing in this video this month is exactly what I fall back on. How can I simplify one thing that I'm already doing to make everything else run easier? So every time I'm about to play that game of I need to hire somebody else to come in and take my calls, I then can go back to my systems of my business and make that little step of review and go, well, here's this one chunk that I do myself. And I could hire somebody else and have them come in and do that one chunk of my business for me. Or could I automate things in a certain way so it's me there doing it, but I don't have to be the one here actually doing it? So let's think briefly, just to set the stage for where we're going. What if, and again, what if I don't have to even deliver my pre-talk live? There are many hypnotists out there who would record their session, their pre-talk, have the client come in and watch the video either on a monitor here, or even better, perhaps at the convenience of their own home. Well, we could do that. Yet what if everything else is run in the same format? And what if we could do it in a way, and bear with me here, what if we can do it in a way that actually adds more value to our client? So I'd share, you're going to hear a lot of themes where I'm pulling myself out of my business in this talk today. This is one of my most favorite things to talk about. It's so fun to play with these systems. The game of just, well, how can I make this part of my business easier? How can I make this thing happen easier? How can I guarantee my clients are going to show up? All these simple things that I'm going to put in here today all come down to this one theme. The title of today's program, Automation 101. Ron Popeil would say, set it and forget it. How do we begin to build our business in a way? Now, what I tend to share here is that last month I introduced the theme of lead generation marketing. And I've got my notes here in terms of last month's talk. Last month's program, remember, don't sell hypnosis, don't sell results. My initial step is to sell that next step. So by selling that next step, it's a much easier close. Call for a free consultation. Download this free special report. Listen to this audio. Rather than saying, pick up the phone, call me, give me your credit card number, pay me for your sessions. Now, that being said, because of these strategies I'm about to share with you, that's what happens for me. The clients call, and I've built several systems now where my clients are actually mostly prepaying their sessions on the phone before they come into the office. Now, the specifics of those strategies are beyond the scope of this talk. That's why I call it Automation 101. Yet I encourage you to learn these systems, learn some of these principles, and just play. There are so many things that I've put into place over the years that what's interesting is I start with a specific goal and then it morphs into something else. Here's a 1-hour segment I'd like to add to my NGH course as an extra bonus added offer, and even that morphed into a 2-day event that I now offer separately. So again, last month's program, Lead Generation, was all about how to bring in new clients when we're not asking for that sale right away. when the questions then begin to shift to when are you ready, when would you like to get started, call for this thing, call for this other thing, fill out this web form for that thing, the conversation begins to shift. We're never really giving them the opportunity to say, no, I don't want that now. It's a game of readiness in this format. The process of lead generation, again, I encourage you to go back and view last month's video if you have not watched it yet. Easy to remember URL we'll put right here, www.hypnotismsuccess.com/02. And you may have already guessed that the month before that was 01. hypnotismsuccess.com/01 for the first month, 02. And if you loaded 03, chances are you're watching this video right now. So the goal is how to deliver your marketing messages only to those people that are interested in hearing it. Many of you in this room have contacted me for taking a class. And if all of a sudden I was blasting you emails about all sorts of things, stop smoking, hypnobirthing, losing weight, and that was not a specific interest of yours, you would likely find some kind of offense to that and opt out of my list. So by making sure that by the lead generation, well, the people who ask for my Stop Smoking Special Report, those are the people that are going to get my Stop Smoking information. If you're interested in listening to my free weight loss hypnosis audio program to learn more about hypnosis, you're then going to be getting my weight loss information. So let's get really specific here in terms of this. That's that benefit. Again, go back to last month's video, that whole theme of learning about building lists. That being said, this month's program is about what to do once those people have raised their hand and said, I'm interested. I promised you a two-step process. We're here today with the second step. Now, I highly suggest this video is going to get a little bit more technical than anything I've presented so far here. Some of the tools are going to be a little bit more technical. Actually, later on, we're going to jump over to a screenshot, actually a live demonstration as to how I've made this stuff work. So you can actually see it in action. And again, check last month's video. I referenced several resources out there in terms of making that happen. But I really recommend for this month's video, watch it at least twice. And I mean that. I'm going to share with you the techniques and principles to grow your business. And then immediately following, we're going to then break away, and you're going to see some of this stuff on a brief display as to how it actually works. By watching this video twice, you'll surprise yourself just how simple this stuff is. Like I've said before, if you can load a website, if you can send an email, if you can write a couple of paragraphs, you can do everything I'm about to share with you. It's that simple. So I introduced the concept last month of selling the next step, rather than going straight for the close. So if your website still says call this number to book your sessions, go back and view those videos again. You'll see a little bit more guidance there in terms of what to do. You know, that last step, let's spend a couple of moments on that because that's actually where most of the questions came from for me. What could that next step possibly be? Well, I mentioned several. I'll just go down the list. View last month's video to hear these things in much greater detail. We can offer a free consultation. It's a fabulous strategy. You either can do it on the phone or you can actually do it live in your office. It's a great way to practice your pre-talk and get comfortable just sitting across the room from a potential client. I mentioned a free special report. You can write something of some sort of value that they can then request, and that's going to build your credibility. You're an expert in the profession. You're an expert in the field of helping them with that specific issue. They see you as a resource, and then comes the buying decision. Fantastic. Free download. We'll spend some time talking about that here this month. Video series and a later video in this program that we're presenting with the NGH. I'll be spending a lot of time on exactly how I produce my online videos. We can send a package in the mail, general hypnosis information, or some sort of newsletter. But again, before I really jump into these automation strategies, these principles in this month's video, I'd like to elaborate again a little bit more on that content creation, specifically 2 strategies that I'd like you to spend some time exploring just because they're the easiest ones to really explain. They may seem like big technological or content creation hurdles, yet everything I'm about to share with these 2 simple concepts are then going to be repeated with everything else. So we're going to talk about building a sequence of several targeted messages leading to that eventual sale. And the same techniques I'm going to use to create that first bit of content, the trade term in information marketing is the widget. call for this free thing. Call this number and receive a free whatever. The classic one. When you subscribe to Sports Illustrated, football phone. That football phone was a lead generation step. There were, in fact, with that one, if you look this one up, there were people who were subscribing to the magazine just because they wanted that phone. So what if we can get our into a similar conversation before they even pick up the phone and call us? Of asking for a specific thing that's going to provide some value. It's going to become like a magnet towards that client, pulling them closer and closer to what our service will be. So the first one, let's kind of break down this concept of a free special report. And again, the format I'm going to present here in terms of how to create this free special report is almost identical to what we're going to use to create those subsequent emails, those subsequent targeted messages to build that relationship and get the client calling and booking their eventual sessions. Consider again that the client may call, and they may start off with a standard question that, how many sessions, how much is it going to cost me? And let's break out of this concept that that person is calling you and they're asking that question. I mean, this bothers me. I've heard so many people in this profession say, oh, they're a price shopper. You need to eliminate them. They're not motivated. No, they don't know what questions to ask yet. They haven't ever hired a hypnotist before. If you're hiring a brand new service, what else would you ask? At my home, we moved back in April this year. We actually moved the same week my son was born. Yeah, we're not doing that again. A lot of new responsibilities. And we moved, first time real homeowners. We were technically at a condo before where the outside belonged to someone else. Now we're in a townhome and we were responsible for everything. And I don't know the actual terms, it's why we called someone else. A piece of wood in the back of the house, the fascia boards, whatever they're called, was falling off. It was still attached, but it was loose. And I'm calling up, and I mean, what else would I ask? How much is this going to cost me? And the contractor on the phone was very good about it. Well, I need to get up there first and see what's going on. If it's a matter of the weather shifting, maybe the wood expanded or shrunk, whatever the seasons were appropriate, and maybe just the nails worked themselves loose. Maybe this time we'll stick it back up there and use some screws, something with some grip into it. Or maybe there's an animal that got up there and began to chew away at the wood, and maybe that's why it fell off. Or maybe it was rotted, and it turned out to be the last one, which unfortunately was the second most expensive of those three equations. So simply put, I did not know what questions to ask. Yet to be fair, the contractor was phenomenal. He led me through that process, and he gave me an expectation of each step of the way. So this report, consider that again, if they're calling and asking how much and how many, it's just because they don't know what else to ask yet. So let's begin to shift that conversation, shift that perception. Your client, when they're looking around at various websites or calling, or even the example of you're at a health fair and they come up to talk to you, the mode that they are currently in, the state, the resource, is one of research. They're looking around for information. They're gathering materials. They're gathering information. So let's acknowledge them there in that research mode and offer them some valuable content that's going to satisfy that research phase. By offering them a free special report, we're going to be helping them in their research to make their decision more easily. And of course, hopefully that decision is going to lead back to us. The format of this. This is something that many people can overcomplicate. I do have one on my website that's a very, very nicely designed, or at least as nice as my skills can manage. It's a nicely designed PDF document. It's about 7 or 8 pages, though we'll talk specifically about deliverability of emails later in this program. Simply if I'm automating a message and there is a attachment to it, that may be a bit of a flag to virus software, to spam software, to all sorts of things. I'm going to have a much more reliable deliverability of that email without the attachment. So we could do it as a PDF report, yet an email just filled with text can begin to fill the same content, can begin to satisfy the same urge. So my advice, again, as we start this, if this is brand new to you, can we get caught up in the details of finding the right royalty-free images and making sure this document is just beautiful. Yes, you could, and it's a waste of your time. I want you to focus first of all on learning these automation principles. Then from there, go back and make it pretty. So for your first special report, if you've not written one yet, text, the body of an email. That's all I want you to do here. Let's keep it simple. Don't get hung up on something else about which font, which that. No, keep it simple. And side benefit of not using that PDF again would be the fact that they don't have to download something. In the content and the body of the email, thank you so much for requesting my free special report, 3 steps to easy stress relief. Here they are. 1, information. 2, information. 3, information. I know you'll find value in this content. I look forward to hearing your feedback as to how you've put these steps into place. For further information, call me at this number. Leave it at that. Keep it simple for now. We can get more creative. We can start to fold in hypnotic language and later strategies. Yet for now, I want you to keep it as simple as possible, because we're about to get into some technical stuff here, and it's so easy to dip into that. Well, I'm not a computer person. I taught this recently in a workshop that I presented, and someone said, well, I use a Mac, and that won't work for me. It's a website. Websites work on Macs. Websites work on your smartphone, your tablet device, whatever they are. This stuff is simple, and I want you to understand just how easy it is. Don't become overburdened in the initial stages. So you'll have a better chance of the message being delivered. Long story short, just by making sure that first one out, just keep it in the body of the email. In terms of title, let's keep it simple for now as well. The easiest format, X ways to blank. So what would that be? 3 ways to reduce your smoking habit. And you've got a title. Begin to write content. And if you come up with one more additional idea that you think is really good, go back to the beginning and retitle your program. 4 ways to reduce your smoking habit. 5 steps to choose a qualified hypnotist. That's a great one to have. 7 ways to eliminate stress at work. Simple format. And that kind of email, in terms of my research, also has a very high rate of being delivered. As opposed to go into your email and look at all sorts of newsletters you may be subscribed to. And I'll use my business name not to single somebody out. I don't send newsletters. I send broadcast messages with specific purpose, to share value, to share content, or a specific offer. So, updates from Virginia Hypnosis. Well, I hope you all would open that. Yet the incoming client, what's everybody's favorite radio station? WIIFM. What's in it for me? So we want the headline, we want the topic, we want the name of the widget being something that they're absolutely interested in. In your easiest format, 5 ways to blank, 3 ways to blank. The one thing you need to know about whatever. Keep it simple. Your content. I feel that content, from my experience, should be brief and effective. There's a wonderful quote that's most often been attributed to Mark Twain. It was a letter that was written, and I believe it began with the phrase, and I may be paraphrasing here, forgive the length of this letter, I didn't have time to write a short one. It takes extra work, it takes extra emphasis to be concise. I love the metaphor of sanding things down to the essentials. Those of us that make use of instant and rapid inductions, this is one of the strengths of those methods, is that the mind doesn't really have time to wander off to something else and play the game of, am I doing this right? As opposed to, and let the eyes close, just allow yourself to go much deeper. Bringing your attention to that hand. As I pick it up, just let it drop and let that just relax you much deeper. It's a seamless transition. Rather than adding all this extra stuff where the client's conscious mind begins to re-intervene, they're getting distracted, they're losing focus, they're bringing themselves out of hypnosis. So let's use that same concept. Sand it down to the essentials. So I'd encourage you to keep your content about the length of a typical article. Maybe 250 to 500 words. And in fact, if you find yourself getting into a much, much longer format, well, take a step back and look at what you're writing, and chances are you might actually have several articles, several special reports you can then break that into. rather than the big monster one that's just everything. Maybe it's really 3 different topics that you can pull apart and use in different formats. Easier content creation. I recognize you, really reinforce the fact that you should draw from your own personal experiences. You know, for those of us that are already seeing clients and actively seeing people, I may tell some anecdotes based on that. I've got an interesting one that I did. Like many hypnotists, I use a form that collects, what are your goals of creating this process? And this wasn't necessarily a free special report, yet for a local newspaper that I used to write a column for, I did some research. I took all of those benefits forms and I compiled the reasons why people were coming in to quit smoking. And that became an article that I had published in a local newspaper pointing to the specific reasons. And, you know, beginning with the theme of, well, most people would think it would be health or perhaps saving some money. Yet the #1 research, it sounds like Family Feud, the #1 thing that people were reporting back was getting rid of that inconvenience and setting a good example for their family, or really just taking that one simple thing. You know, I've got a lot of stuff that's going on, but when I take care of this one thing, things will be much easier. You know, those were the most common themes. Now, as I'm saying it now, I've never used it as a special report, but it is in my automation streams as a credibility bump. Here's an article I wrote for a local newspaper. Check it out. So draw from your own personal experiences. If you absolutely find yourself at a block and you need some inspiration, let me paraphrase first. Don't plagiarize. However, you may consider doing some web searches for similar content. You may check out a book from the library, browse some videos on YouTube, look around, see what else is out there. But again, don't copy, don't just make use of other stuff that's out there. It comes across as being false. It doesn't sound as if it's in your own words. So only ever use these sources for inspiration. You know, only look at it in terms of, I'm stuck, let me get some ideas. And like the advice I shared before about creating content for your website, you know, read it, go to bed, the next day, write. Don't do the 2-monitor thing and just copy word for word. So for that special report, that pretty much sums that up. Beginning to draw from your own connections, and for now, keep it simple. Just keep it as a text-based email. It's the easiest way to do it. We can get more creative later, and I'll mention a way to do that. But for now, keep it simple if this is your first entry into this idea. Free audio download. This is another one. And again, this is going to fall into all sorts of other categories in terms of how we make this stuff work. You know, the brief hypnosis session may be a good idea. So perhaps they can request a, let's keep it brief here. Let's keep like a 10-minute, you know, take 10 to relax. Here's 10 minutes just to do a stress relief self-hypnosis session. The idea is basically give them an experience. Let them experience something. Process, it's going to build rapport with you, and it's going to build more of a, you know, a comfort, a familiarity with hypnosis. We can also do an all-about hypnosis audio program. You know, maybe it might be the structure of your pre-talk, though what's great about hypnosis is the characters that have been a part of the story. You know, the history that we can start to share. Well, here's actually why it's called hypnosis. And the person who coined that term actually discovered that it wasn't the best term. People were mistaking that the people were asleep, yet even though he called it hypnosis, they knew they weren't asleep, so he tried to retitle it this other thing, and here's the story. Here's when Esdale traveled from India to London, and here's what happened. Here's where Benjamin Franklin was visiting and studying the work of Mesmer and figuring out what really was making this stuff happen. So, you know, when I say do an audio program about just hypnosis in general, it doesn't have to be that dry pre-talk. It doesn't have to just be the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. You know, have fun with it. Share some of the stories. There's some great history. If you haven't read Dave Ellman's Hypnotherapy in quite some time, the origins of Charcot and stage hypnosis, go back and find that. It's a wonderful story. I'll leave it at that. Do your own research. So we can share stories like that in terms of what this process is and the players who have been around and where hypnotism is in our modern era. That's going to be a wonderful download. How did we create these? It used to be that creating audio was this massive challenge. And nowadays, with our modern computers, with our modern technologies, it's become really easy. I actually left it at home, otherwise I'd show you, but the models I'll mention are all relatively similar. You can buy what's considered a USB plug-and-play microphone. What that means is you take the microphone, you plug it into the USB of your computer, and immediately your computer recognizes, here's a microphone. And even better, all software on your computer that records voice, or all software you can download, will immediately recognize that microphone. It used to be you'd have to connect this device to this cable, then you had to convert it down to this, then you had to run it through that box, then you had to balance it out, then you had to download this software, then you had to fix this, then you had to edit out the noise, and nowadays, plug the microphone in and you're set. I have bought all sorts of expensive microphones over the years. Now I love the company Blue makes a microphone called the Yeti. It's this giant studio microphone, fabulous studio quality sound. Yet one day I wanted to record something and I couldn't find it, and I had my headset microphone that I use for connecting with someone over Skype, doing a webinar, and it turned out the audio was pretty good. So it's the difference between a omnidirectional microphone, it picks up everything, and a unidirectional microphone, which is picking up exactly what's in front of the recording unit. Any of the microphones from Logitech, the company Logitech, look on Amazon. They're really affordable. Most of them are around like $20 to $30 to $40. I've actually discovered that most of the microphone sensors in these headsets are identical from one unit to the other. Why is this one more expensive to that one? Comfort of the headset. And to be fair, I have vertical hair. So if I wear the headset, yeah, you're laughing. If I have the headset that goes over my hair, I have this wonderful line throughout the rest of the day. So I bought the behind the head model. Keeps the hair looking good. And it's also just more comfortable long term. It's behind the head. If you find a headset microphone that includes the word gaming, for somebody who's going to play video games on the internet or remotely for extended hours, they're going to want something more comfortable. And for that, you may pay around $60. I think that's what mine was. Free software, Audacity. Check that out. Just Google it. You'll find it. It's absolutely free. There's no catches. You may have Windows. I forget what the actual sound editing software is that they offer for free. Mac users would have GarageBand. Simple stuff. Plug in the microphone, turn on the software, hit record, start talking. It's going to be that easy. If you're going to put music behind it, again, royalty-free music, that's what you want to use. Don't just download something from iTunes, find something on an old CD, and just stick that behind it. You may be breaking a lot of laws, and it may become very expensive for you. And actually, the NGH sells a fabulous library of several different discs of royalty-free music, and there's many other sources as well. If you believe this is beyond your skill, again, go back and revisit video number 1, because I actually outlined a strategy to take this entire thing and, outside of recording your own voice, outsource it. Record your voice, send them the file, they'll put the music behind it, they'll send you a finished file back, and you're done. But again, let's not get overloaded yet. Stick with the special report if doing audio downloads is brand new to you. This content could be delivered by email. But remember everything I just told you about the PDF download. Oftentimes, too, an audio file may be rather large. And depending on their email service, the file may be too big and it gets rejected back before they even receive it. So again, I don't recommend sending attachments using the strategy I'm about to outline. What I do recommend is to send an email with a link to a website, where they can then go to that website and download it themselves. Sending a link may have some challenges with spam filters. All of these services that I'll reference, again, they actually will rate your email in terms of the spam. Certain words you should be using, certain words that may be better. So again, I recommend against sending those attachments with this strategy. Let's be fair. Client comes in and you decide to share with them your weight loss audio that's all about nighttime eating, if you've got one of those. To send them the one email and have them just click and download it from the email, perfectly fine. But what if you don't have to write that email every time that happens? I share, I'm very cautious with this referral, with this thing to say, check this out. There's a documentary out there called Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead. And what I loved about it was specifically it was people who found themselves at a turning point in their life, and they took ownership for where they were. And because I got myself into this situation, I'm the one who's got to fix it. And that's what I loved about the documentary. If you're watching it and really getting caught up in the content rather than the context, you're watching it and it seems like an infomercial for juicing, which may have some nice benefits, but I'm so risk averse I don't want to tell the client to go, oh, go juice all your vegetables, stop eating food. No, I'm not going to go there. But specifically from the point of view of watch this scene when they're in the diner. And the difference between this guy who says, oh, that's just how I am, I can't do anything about it, and this one who says, I'm the one who's going to fix it. And there's a specific point where I'll share, it's a free documentary, it's on the Netflix streaming, but I forget the name of the website, but Google it, Fat, Sick, Nearly Dead. It's pretty good. And it's interesting because it's actually out on the internet for free from the guy who filmed it. So I found it valuable, maybe just a few times over the years, to share people that documentary, say, watch it and really look for this scene. Yet that's an email I wrote 2 years ago. And now I don't have to write it ever again. That's where we're going. The key thing to inspire you here, I want you to listen to this carefully. The key thing to really inspire you here is once this content is created, you don't have to create it or do it yourself ever again. Let that sink in. If I have a video, let's use a standard example. Person calls. This person broke my heart. I want you to make me forget them. We all have different ways of responding to that. Some may actually attempt the negative hallucinations and make it happen. I've got issues with that. I think back to the Future movies where if you run into yourself from the past, you go into shock. You know, that person's friends, that person's family members know they were involved with that other person. So I can't support the concept of just full amnesia that that experience ever happened. As a side note, I've typically found asking the question, have you found yourself in this situation before? 9 times out of 10 they go, yeah. Okay, good. So having you forget this one person, would that actually fix things? Or should we work on you? Okay. Now that could be a much longer conversation. However, what if, and as I'm saying this, I'm realizing I don't have it myself, what if instead that person calls, and rather than have that conversation live, I can politely exit the call in a professional way that's supportive. You know what? I actually gave an entire talk on this at a recent group. I can send it to you. It's short. It's about 10 minutes long. I'd love for you to watch that. And then let's have this conversation. I'll call you back tomorrow. What's a good email I could send that to? How is it that I've still avoided hiring someone to take my calls? Concepts such as that. My husband wants to quit smoking, and most of us have learned, great, have him call me, hang up. Perfect. Tell you what, I require that that person call me directly so we can have that conversation. It's all about his goals, but I can send you some further information by email, and when he's ready, share it with him, have him call me, we'll go from there. And what could have been a 20-minute phone call that I used to say I never had that actually convert to a client, finally, recently it did. Spouse called, and it was a great situation. You're self-employed, he's self-employed, he's very busy. I'm going to do the research, pick him 3 options, let him decide from there. That was the scenario. Client was phenomenal. But again, once this content is created, then I never have to do it again. I am still using emails I wrote several years ago. I have moved my office a couple of times over the years. All I've done was go back in and change the location of the email, and then it was up to date. That's all I had to do. Remember Ron Popeil, set it and forget it. I'm sure there's a copyright on that. You should be aware of. When this content is working for you, you can be doing other things. What if you had a 20-minute video that the client was watching that was all about hypnosis? Here's a brief pre-talk, here's some of the history, and I'll explain to you exactly what's going on here. They're watching that video, and maybe there you are at home playing with your kids. There you are in your session getting paid to see another client. There you are creating more content, so for other situations, you don't have to be there. Now let me emphasize something again, because where most people would raise their hand at this point and start to have some opposition. Oh, I would never do that. I don't want to turn my clients over to a machine. I don't want to turn them over to something to listen to. I don't want to go pre-recorded on them. And I say this in full positivity, that of course as hypnotists we all would eventually find ourselves working with someone who's been to another hypnotist. And consistently I hear the quality of my customer service is phenomenal over where they've been before. He promised to send me an audio, I never received it. Let's look at the training environment. They told us not to video record the demos because they would broadcast them to everybody later. And yet that event was back in December and nobody's seen those videos. You know, that kind of situation, people notice that. It starts to take your right before the client leaves and fire the email off. I've even gone so far as to, I know I'm going to teach you this process in this session. I'm going to send you the email in advance just so I know it's done. How do we begin to set this stuff up so it's just automated so whatever we promised actually gets delivered? We're going to do most of this here. We can automate in all sorts of other ways. But the majority of what I'm going to share with you here is about email marketing for a couple of simple reasons. One, it's very cheap. The cost of doing direct mail would be extremely high. Getting that list, you know, there's now a thing called every door direct mail. Yes, most people can benefit from hypnotism, but they don't know it yet. Yet again, everyone has an email address. Now the key thing is though, we will only ever email people when they opt in. Go back and review last month's video. Those are the methods to get them to opt in. They request something on a website, they call you up and ask for information, they meet you somewhere, you send them something, you give a live talk, you give an offer. That's how they're opting in. And the people who will most likely pay for your service will have an email address. Hear that modifier. Most people, nearly everyone out there has an email address, but chances are the people who are most likely to find you and then pay for your services will have an email address. It's just something that we all have these days. And it's no cost to low cost. We could do it with some really free, cheap, simple strategies. You could just do it yourself. I'm going to encourage some other things from this point forward, though. So the premise here is, again, people are going to opt into your list by any one of a number of methods. They may see you at a live talk, and you have a form going around the room, and they fill that out, and they get on your list. Maybe you're at a health fair, and you had some sort of raffle or some sort of giveaway, and they're opting in that way. Maybe they called you up, and they weren't quite ready to make that buying decision. Great. Let me send you some further information by email, and I'll call you sometime in the next 2 weeks. How's that sound? And I'll often become very specific about what those emails are going to be. An article I wrote for a local paper with further information, specifically about your issue, and a video of me talking to a local business group. It's a nice way to meet me before you even walk into the door. Yeah, that might be a little hypnotic in my phrasing, because I am future-pacing that you're going to walk into my door. Yet, again, as the hypnotist, we know we can help the client out, and maybe let's use a little bit of our skill to help get them towards that decision of making something happen. We're then going to provide a steady stream of continuous value to that person until they are ready to make a buying decision. Let me read that word for word. I want you to really hear this. We will then begin to provide a stream of continuous value to that person until they are ready to make a buying decision. The highlight, continuous value. Call me and pay for my sessions. Act now, they're 10% off this week. Buy this product, buy this, buy that, act now, call now. No, we're going to provide continuous value. We're going to establish ourselves as an expert. We're going to establish ourselves as the most qualified person to help them, using hypnotism to address their issues. So the common objections again, and let's break these down before they become yours. Is this spam? Well, no, because they've opted in. They've requested your information. And just to clarify one that I mentioned so far, this often occurs. My husband wants to quit smoking. Perfect. I do require that I do that phone consultation with him. I can share some basic information with you by email that you can share with him and then have him call me. Great. Let me give you his email address. No. What's yours? Based on spam policies, I have to send it to you, but you can forward it over. That's going to be an area that I'm going to be very, very careful about. You know, in the United States, a slap on the wrist, there may be some fines at sometimes, but you go up to Canada, you go to some other countries, and there are some extremely harsh fines for blasting out many, many messages to people who didn't opt into that list. It's again also where you should be very specific about making sure they're receiving the right messages for that person, for that exact issue. So again, it's not spam. They've opted in, and you're providing them the information they requested. Oh, I hate getting those sales emails. I open my email every single day and I've got to delete 30 things. I don't want to do that to my clients. Continuous value. You're thinking about it wrong. These emails you're complaining about are all sales messages. Buy now. Buy this thing now. What's interesting is there's many email service providers that would tell you the moment you bring your list from this company to this company, they don't want you to make a sales message in the first message. Just sharing, we've updated our systems. I look forward to continuing this relationship in the future. And then email number 2 can then be about a sale. But there are many email service providers out there that the first thing you send out is sales. It's going to become a challenge. It's also why AOL and even Gmail have cracked down on people using these personal email accounts for heavy commercial use. They recognize it, you get flagged, and I know several business owners in hypnotism as well as other professions, their accounts have been shut down. Listen later, you hear what to do differently. Remember, we're going to build a relationship. We're going to lean also, we're also going to lean on that theme of education. I'm going to share articles, maybe ones I've written, but why not? Let's share other resources as well. Play on Google News Alerts. Search different concepts, hypnosis and pain relief, hypnosis and sports improvement, hypnosis and, let's get specific, gymnastics. Whatever it may be, begin to build a library. Set up some Google News Alerts. The content will be delivered to you every week, every day for free by doing that. Video clips. These can be video clips that we shoot ourselves. They can also be all sorts of things. Here's a TED Talk on something. Here's a video of some clip from this talk show to watch. Here's why I think this is interesting. My best performing video I've ever done. I'm not going to put it here. I want you to go and search for it. With my daughter at 2 years old, she learned how to do instant inductions. 1, 2, 3, sleep! And her emergence was, Daddy! And another earlier video when she was like 3 months old, I passed my hand in front of her eyes and she went from this to, and these are my best performing emails I've ever used. Yes, I'm using my daughter to build my business, but she's got to go to college somehow. But also hypnosis is weird. But here's the guy sending a funny video of him and his kid. It breaks down all barriers. So whatever is appropriate for your situation. Video clips, either professional or personal. Funny stories, client case studies. You know, we can also combine these things as well. So let's back up here. They opt in. Then comes the widget, either in this situation, the special report, or the audio download. Then after that begins a stream of continuous value. The next email might be an article. The next email might be a video clip. The next email might be a funny story. Then here's a client case study, and maybe we can begin to combine things from there. I've got a great story of a woman who quit smoking. Her phrase was she had stopped smoking on her own for 14 years. Then we had an earthquake in Virginia, and she goes, and I'm outside and I'm having nicotine urges. And I kind of politely made fun of her on the call to say, 14 years, the nicotine was long gone. You thought the world was ending and thought, why the hell not? And she goes, yeah. And then I tell her story. You get to read her feedback later in the email sequence as well. Another common objection, people will opt out. Well, they might. Well, actually, let's rephrase that. They will. You will have people opting out, but the opt-out rate will be incredibly low if you're doing this correctly. If you ever send out a message and you get a lot of people opting out, take it as a sign. You broke these rules. Chances are You didn't cultivate the relationship and you went for the sale too quickly and they go, I don't want this, and they opted out. So take it as a note for yourself. When you write in a friendly, conversational, value-enhancing mode, my clients have told me they actually look forward to reading my emails. I've had people responding and going, oh, that is so great. I'm out of town. I'll call you when I get home. These types of situations are wonderful. Keep the messages brief. There was one time I got on the list of a local business coach, and the email I received, there was no real formatting. It was just a big blob of text, and it was just way too much. I didn't read it. Eventually, that was every email she sent. I opted out. I just didn't have time to read it. Think of the length for these subsequent emails. Twitter, text message. You know, our modern text message is going to limit you to 160 characters. Twitter limits you to 140 characters. And what's interesting is to go find published authors, politicians, comedians, actors, people who are very, very frequently on Twitter, and look to see how much bang for the buck they get out of 140 characters. It's a great way of looking at this in terms of keeping that message brief so they read the entire thing and get the full value. Hey, John, check out this article the Wall Street Journal published on hypnotism. It's amazing how modern media is actually noticing just how powerful this stuff is. Link. For further information about hypnotism and how it can help you, call this number, signature. That's the format behind the majority of emails that I send. Check out this funny video I made with my daughter. Even at 2 years old, she's a hypnotism pro. Video. Here's an interesting TED Talk I think you should watch. Here's a link, and this is going to be one for an existing client. Here's a link to a documentary. Before you watch it, I want you to understand the context of why I encourage it. It's not about the juicing, it's about taking ownership of our changes. Enjoy. It's going to be that brief. So do you understand also as well this doesn't take me a lot of time to create this stuff? Yeah, not at all. To be fair, the people who do opt out of your email sequences are giving you a positive message. Either one, you need to recraft exactly how your messages are being delivered, or two, they're not your clients. Good. Focus on everyone else who may be. So don't take the opt-out personally. Don't take it as a negative thing. It's a note for you, but it's also a reminder that not everybody who calls you is a match for your service. They might find a better experience with another practitioner, with another helping modality. The disclaimer here, I really want to point this out. This is starting to sound like a lot of now. It sounds like a lot of stuff, but that's why I keep wanting to simplify it down. I hate to give a negative suggestion, but I know that most of the people watching this will never put this into use. And it's coming down to self-limiting beliefs. I've mentioned them before. I'm not a computer person. That sounds like a lot of work. Oh, I would never do that. However, again, I only share numbers to inspire you. This one strategy is the one reason I can fully credit why it was so easy to grow my business to the beyond six figures level that I did this past year. This stuff works. And when you do it right, again, people will be looking forward to your messages. They'll be interacting with them. They'll be responding to these messages. They're going to show up as if they're actually from you live. And if that doesn't get your attention and inspire you, I don't know what will. So let's break it down to some simple terminology. And again, in a moment, we're going to break out to the computer, and you're going to see me put this stuff actually into use. Simple terminology here. We call them emails, but in this format, they're messages. Just another trade term. It's still technically an email, but from our format, when you hear me say the message, that's an email. And the sequence. A sequence is messages in a series. How often do you begin to email? Well, when they request information, if it's over the phone, we're probably there in front of our systems, our database, our software. Hit the button right away, send the content out immediately. It's an amazing bit of rapport to get that information right away. The next message, at least, should come, in my opinion, the very next day. And it may come as simple as a thank you message. Thank you so much for requesting my free report, 3 Ways to Relieve Stress at Work. I hope you enjoyed it. Just in case you didn't get it, here it is again, copied below my signature. Simple. It's a repeat of the same content. It's just a friendly nudge. To be fair, people receive a lot of emails. So it's just another nice little guarantee that they actually got it. Now, I then encourage, and again, remember the filters I've given you so far. 2 to 3 times a week for the first 2 months. And then 1 to 2 times a week for the next 3 months. And then maybe once a week after that, slow it down at that point. Sounds like a lot of stuff to write. Sounds like a lot of stuff to create. But how many emails are going to be in your first sequence, in your first campaign? 1. We all start somewhere. The first sequence that I ever created was, here's your free special report. And they got nothing from me after that because I hadn't created it yet. Over time, I do have some sequences that'll just drip messages to that person at this point for the next several years. And this may sound like a lot of work. This may sound like, I'm going to have to spend so much time sending emails. I'm going to have to spend so much time sending this stuff out. Wait till I show you what I'm about to show you. Because when my emails are being sent out, I'm putting my kids to bed. I'm cooking dinner at home. I'm making an income seeing other clients. I'm in the office creating information products. I'm creating audio programs to sell. I'm generating the outline for another talk. I'm creating more stuff like this. Set it and forget it. Once this stuff is in motion, I don't have to do it again. And that's magic. How do we begin to write our content? Start small. Again, how many emails are going to be in your first campaign, your first sequence? 1. We all start somewhere. Make a specific goal. And I would say maybe this may be overshooting it for some. 2 to 4 emails a week. But again, remember they're short. Begin to gather content, videos, articles, things that you have. All of a sudden, here comes a satisfied, thrilled, raving fan client. And you get their testimonial letter. Perfect. Turn that into a piece of content. You get published in a local newspaper. Awesome. Turn that to content as well. World Hypnotism Day rolls around. They do an article on you. Put that in. That being said, I would encourage you to make sure your message are, to use our NLP terminology, artfully vague. If it's June 18th and I send you an email that says, Happy Easter, you are giving your clients a wonderful education in email automation because you didn't just send that just now. That was a mistake. So I'm going to be very mindful in terms of, nothing that's specific to a season, a time of year, in terms of these automated things. Now, once I have the list, it's called a broadcast, to then send a message out to everybody. Happy World Hypnotism Day. Here's what the event is all about. Watch this video. And that'll be an email that I craft that goes out at a specific date and time. That's just as easy as sending an email, but the difference is I've sent that to my entire list. We'll see that in a moment. Write in a friendly voice. The easiest way to test this is type it out, print it out, or just read it yourself. Read it out loud. Even better. Friend, family member, spouse, kid, whoever it may be, have them read it to you. It's going to stick out so strongly if something is in that weird professional tone that most of us think that we have to write in. It is so disarming. It is such an encouragement of rapport when this stuff comes across as friendly and conversational. Add it to the end of your sequence. Why do I say add it to the end of your sequence? Because I am guilty more so than most of playing the game of, oh, I've got this amazing brand new thing I've got to put in there. And then I spend so much time playing the game of, that needs to be the 3rd email now. Now the 3rd one needs to be the 7th, and this one needs to be there. It's a distraction. Set some benchmarks. Maybe once I have 10, I'll shuffle the order. Then when I've got 25, I'll shuffle the order. For now, set some benchmarks, and not until you're there. Just stick it at the end of the sequence. Keep it simple for now. Now, I've talked a lot about in terms of past clients or clients we're working with or people that are coming in. What else can we automate here? This is not just a strategy for acquiring new business. The client support materials that I send out, I've got these little check boxes in my database. Click the button, they've got the stress relief audio, which again is an email with a link They follow the link, they download it from there. I want to send them that documentary I referenced. They click there, I click there, they get the link right away. I wrote the email, and it's done. It's set up. Client confirmations. Allow me to go off on a rant here for a moment. This comes from a bit of a background. I worked in educational theater when I was going through college, then transitioned out of that. And let's say the college is producing a musical that most people would know, the big name musicals, Cabaret, Chicago, something of that style. And it was interesting to poll the students on the campus. Auditorium would be empty. And the negative thinking would say that people didn't come because it was a student production, they didn't know anyone in it, they didn't care. But that wasn't the case. From our research on this campus, we discovered the reason most people were not coming to it was they didn't know it was happening. The posters had been printed. They were still in the box. It never made its way into the school newspaper. The majority of the people on that campus have thousands of people to fill a 350-seat auditorium. Should be easy math, right? Yet the research we found is most of the people did not know about the event until after the fact. Let's bring this theory into no-shows. Let's bring this theory into clients who don't show up for their sessions. I'm a firm believer that it's a better strategy to review your systems. When a client calls me and I confirm the appointments, email is sent out right away. And if they're going to be coming to me maybe more than a week out, I'll tell them, I'm going to send you an email right away. You'll see it in the next 5 to 10 minutes. And you'll see an email reminder the day before your session. It's going to be the exact same email with a different headline on it, just as a refresher. So you've got a fresh one on your phone when you're driving here. Yes, I know they're looking at their phone. So if a client doesn't show up, it's my opinion. Now, we will have some people who just sometimes flake out, choose something else, don't follow up. Use your best strategies. Many people would collect credit card information by phone. That's your own decision. But again, review your systems in terms of how much information, how easy do you make it for that client to know when to show up and what's expected of them. Attached to the email will be, actually linked to the email, will be a copy of my office paperwork. Print it out, bring it with you. And with that strategy, more than 90% of my clients show up, paperwork in hand, already completed. Rather simple. That being said, many people I've met have used scheduling software over the years, software that does just this one task for me. I've been able to duplicate the same thing with the systems that I use. Also, past client contacts. Another rant. I saw a hypnotist years ago, but I don't remember who I saw. Whose fault was that they don't remember? I'd say the hypnotist. I maintain a relationship with my past clients. Here's an interesting article I think you'll enjoy. I know you're still doing great, so check out this video. Here's something fun. Here's a story. And this will be a little bit slower of a campaign, slower of a sequence, yet it's still providing value. I'm going to do my best to stay top of mind. So should they have a need for a hypnotist in the future, there's no doubt who they're going to come back to. Or should someone they know, love, and care for be in a position that they'd benefit from hypnotism, would they tell the person, just go search on the internet? Oh, no. Here, I'll forward you an email I just got from Jason. You got to call this guy. So staying top of mind. It's also much easier to create a sale with someone who's already paid you before. Not to say, of course, don't add up more sessions just for the sake of getting paid. Always work with ethical strategies. But again, staying top of mind. So at this point, let's actually break out to the computer and actually see some of these strategies in place. Okay, great. Let's jump into some really fun, yet slightly technical tools here. We'll start off first of all here on Google. Obviously right now, happy St. Patrick's Day. And what I'll actually do here just to show you how those Google News Alert works. How do you find it? Go into Google and type in Google News Alerts. Helps if I typed it correctly. And there we go. Very first hit right here. And there it is. So this is our easiest source for free research. Let's make a simple one here. Hypnosis, sports, and I can see I've typed this one in earlier today. Hypnosis, sports improvement. I would like to get everything. I would like to get it once a day. I want only the best results, and I want it sent to my Gmail address. So I will create that alert. And now I'm going to start getting emails on that specific topic every single day. And you can see several others that I've set up, just basic ones: hypnosis, hypnotherapy, hypnotist. The fact that I have my first and last name here as a Google News alert, I guarantee you this is not an egotistical move. It's actually something I'd recommend you do right away. How great is it that if your name gets printed in an article or in a comment on a blog somewhere, that you'd actually get an email about it the instant that actually happens? Well, thanks to this, now I get that. Just a little side benefit to this video. So let's actually jump into some of the content here. First of all, I'll go to my website here for a moment. As I may have referenced in other videos, notice that there's a photo of me. Notice there's a video in the very top fold of that website. And I'm going to highlight some of the strategies that I've done specifically with automation. Yet I think to really illustrate this in the best way, let's share an example that's out of context. My wife and I are about to head up to New York City for a friend's wedding in about maybe 3-4 weeks from now. And we had the thought, while we're up there, let's go see a Broadway play, musical, play, whatever it happens to be. Now, of course, we could do searches online. We could find full-price tickets and pay an arm and a leg. Yet, of course, there are discount ticket services out there even for large-scale Broadway productions. Well, how do you find that? Well, the source that I know is playbill.com. If you ever go to a play on Broadway, you're going to get a little booklet, and that booklet is the playbill, and that's playbill.com. And check this out. Over here on the right of the page, newest discounts, and it mentions several plays that are currently running or about to open. And as soon as you click on it, oh no, that information isn't quite there. You don't actually get those discounts unless you actually join their club. So remember how I mentioned the fact of let's go and create a special report that people can request. Let's create an audio program that people can request. That's exactly what this company is doing. And I've previously set it up so my password was saved in there. But now I can actually go in, find something, and let's just click something random here. And here it is. It's offering tickets. Doesn't say a percentage, but that looks to be about 50 to 60% off. So that's how they're making use of that. And of course, at the same time, I'm also receiving emails from them. We signed up early part of February, and you can actually see it looks like they're emailing me maybe 2-3 times a week just to keep me up to date. So at some point, of course, once I have the use of this service, I will go in and opt out. But again, should I decide to continue to be in the market to travel up a few hours and go see something, well, that's an option. Let's also do this too. I've mentioned in previous webinars other services that I'm comfortable mentioning. Aweber is the company that I used first. And it's simple, aweber.com, AWEBER.com. And their service, what do they do? Manage subscribers, HTML email templates, autoresponders, email newsletters, customer service. And let's click pricing. They probably have a promo. Yeah, sign up for just $1 and then $19 a month after that. And then the pricing changes when you have more than 500 subscribers. I've used this company in the past and actually had a pretty good experience with them. A company that I've played with as well, this is MailChimp, so M-A-I-L, and then Chimp, C-H-I-M-P. And their service is relatively similar to everything I just mentioned with Aweber. And let's click their pricing. Entrepreneur up to 2,000 subscribers. And yeah, as little as $10 a month. I would mention that MailChimp does something interesting. You can actually run MailChimp for free in terms of my last research. So the only thing is, though, the bottom of every email that you'll ever going to send out with this service is actually going to have an advertisement for MailChimp. And you know those business cards that you've met people who have, and it has the name of the company that printed the business cards on the back of it? Yeah, it's probably one of the fastest ways to say I really don't take my business seriously. So if this company is $10 a month, worth your investment, make sure your email just has your message on it. The company that I tend to like the best, and again, full disclosure, I do use this company. They do have an affiliate service, yet I'm not sharing that affiliate link on purpose because I want you to have a full range of options here. and I'm not doing this to benefit from a 10% check a month. SendPepper, I love this company. What I really love about this company is the email deliverability is extremely high, very easy to use, and also, unlike the others, there's room for growth. This company also, you can send postcards with their service, which is really cool. The lowest grade service they offer is $29.95 a month. Then from there, you can actually upgrade to get further options, and you can upgrade again. And they actually have further tiers after this SendPepper option. I'm a big fan of saying allow for growth. So what I like about this company is you can just stick within this smaller range and be perfectly fine. Yet again, I've actually moved up to their bigger level, which is called Office Autopilot. It's just recently rebranded as Entreport.com. And let me actually open that up in a moment. First of all, let's go to my website, though. That was SendPepper, like pepper that you send. SendPepper. I really like that company. But again, I don't get any benefit by mentioning them the way that I've mentioned them here. Here we are on my website right now, and let's click a specific link for Stop Smoking. Again, hey, look at that. There's a photo, there's a video. Let's build rapport through the screen. And I'll scroll down here, and free email special report. Kick the habit, 7 steps towards successful smoking cessation. Learn the best mindset for change, how to build an environment for success, how to release self-imposed challenges, and much more. Email address, free instant download if they click it. Please fill out the form fields in red. So they don't get that information until they've done so, and it's good to have a little safety message, a little privacy message. I always just like your information will never be shared or sold. So what does that actually lead to? Well, it leads to a text-based report, but let's actually show the system of what's actually happening beneath the hood, as we like to say. This is Office Autopilot. This is an upper-level tier of SendPepper. The pricing is higher, of course, but again, I like this company because you can start small and then add on more tools as you get bigger. The company right here, I've actually gone in ahead of time, and I've had a bit of a challenge in terms of putting this content together to share with the membership here at the NGH, because this actually is the service I use to manage all of my very personal client information. So if it ever shows contacts here, either it'll blur itself out, although I think I've gone in and just set it up so you'll just see, well, names of hypnotists. I've stacked the database in a system to do that. So in terms of my contacts, yeah, here's a list of just hypnotists, and I've actually done that. So this is my entire CRM, Customer Relationship Management software as well. Let's go into the administration side of things for a moment. And Smart Forms. And here are the actual forms, and I've actually done dozens of things. Everything I'm telling you on this webinar right now to say, here's something that you should go off and do, and everybody starts with one. Well, here I am. I've got dozens. We all start somewhere. I've been in the service now for many, many years now, actually. So that Stop Smoking report, let's see if I can find that. Yeah, here it is. And it's just a matter of going into this software. All of these companies that I've referenced, you may notice that there are certain companies I have not referenced. That is intentional. Say it as a friendly way. These are 3 companies that I've used all 3 of, and customer support was phenomenal. To show you the ins and outs of everything on this video is beyond the scope of why I'm here right now. But just to show you enough to get started, and again, their customer support with Aweber, MailChimp, SendPepper, it's all phenomenal. What am I asking for here? Let me see if I can scroll down and show it. Oh, that's right. This is an older version of the form, so it doesn't show the editing. But it shows everything from the opt-in option to the form there and the setup and what happens when they subscribe. Let's back out of this. Autopilot. This is where it gets fun. And I may have to click to the next page. Yeah, here we go. Smoking drip sequence. I've actually done this one set up, and here's actually part of the sequence. After this, it begins to slow down. But this shows you all the emails that I've programmed in automatically that begin to go in there once someone fills out that form. So in terms of this system, again, that's exactly what I've referenced. What do? We create the option to opt in. There it is. Now, the same way that we could meet somebody at a live talk, we could then just go home to our system and I can just create a new contact. I won't actually do that live, otherwise it'll show private data of clients. So in this system, what does it basically do? I can just add them to a sequence, and this sequence has sent well over 850 emails. And the best part is I haven't had to be the one there to do it myself. And in terms of this system, again, set it and forget it, it just goes. So what's the process here? Create the web form, stick it on your website. If you don't know how to do that, outsource it. Go back to video 1. That's where I talked about that. Begin to create those individual messages. This is just one chunk of the sequence. After this, it subscribes to something else, which then actually slows down. There's actually also, where is it? Smoking report. Well, it's somewhere. Because actually that one sequence goes to several different places. But again, right now I've got 65 active sequences in terms of what I've talked about right now. And the whole thing about a website is just creating multiple options where people can explore. Different places they can travel around. The report's over here in the border. The report's on my website. They can click other places for other items. And again, Aweber, great company. I endorse them. MailChimp.com, SendPepper.com. All these companies do offer, looks like free trial. Looks like Aweber's doing a funny thing now of signing up for just $1. But just to play with it, jump into all 3 of these if you like and see what you like. Okay, good. 30-day money-back guarantee. The final statement that I make is that you really don't want to be sending these emails yourself. What happens if you're sending these emails yourself is that it can start to become a bit of a flag with the company that you're using. These services then begin to send those emails as if they're you. Let's go to a specific message here for a moment. Let me find a recent one. Let's see. This is... Well, here we go. I'll just go to something that I sent to my recent class. So here's the message name in terms of my database, how I save it. This is how my name is going to be displayed. It's Jason Linett. Reply to email address jason@virginiahypnosis.com. Mail from jason@virginiahypnosis.com. And everything is customizable. First name, dash, class starts next week. And that actually then went into my database the way that these systems are set up and personalized every single email. Chuck, class starts next week. Brandon, class starts next week. Nikki, class starts next week. It's all that easy. Again, if you can load a website, if you can send an email, you can do everything I've just talked about. Let's go back to the live class. All right, great. So you've got an idea in terms of some of the sequences, some of the formats, some of the software that I use. From no cost to low cost to downright insanely expensive. Yet those ones that have cost me some money, I've received the full value. I have segments of my business that I have not actively run myself in years. And it's because of that. And that's worth whatever I'm paying them each month, if not more. But begin to brainstorm. My action step for you between now and the next time we meet. The Teleseminar is going to be coming up 1 week from the launch of this video. The actual date of that is going to be Wednesday, March 26th at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to put that URL here, right here as well, in terms of how to interact with that teleseminar. Participate in that. We'll have an offer at the end of that to download a free MP3 of this so you can listen to it several times as well. That'll be shared. You'll also get your 2 continuing educational credits. That URL for that teleseminar, budurl.com/hypnotismsuccess03. The numbers will match up as well. And there will be replays of that if you're watching this after Wednesday, March 26, 2018 at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you're watching in the future, there'll still be a replay available. So my encouragement to you is to begin to brainstorm. We all start somewhere. I would recommend for now pick one sequence, one automation principle you want to make use of. The goal would eventually be have something for every possible niche market we may work within. So to have one for smokers, to have one for weight loss, to have one for stress relief, pain relief, to have one for every single possible niche market. If you're a trainer, have something specifically for that. If you have a product that you've just released, even for that. We're going to find much better responses in terms of our specificity. So what I'd encourage you to do is just begin to pick one specific niche market that you enjoy working with, Or if you're brand new at this, something you think you'd have a passion at working with. And create, first of all, that widget. The easiest one, special report, 4 ways to blank. 4 ways to fill in the blank. Create the content to match it. If you only can come up with 3, retitle your program. If you can come up with more than 4, again, retitle. Keep it simple here. Then from there, begin to craft follow-up messages. You saw how I do it. Begin to fold that into your website, or even just fold it into your conversations on the phone. Again, even though right now it's 2014, I firmly believe you can have a profitable business still in this society without a website. It's true. I believe that. It's going to take a little bit more work and creativity, but it can be done. You see me at my talk. I get 50 people on my list. Here come my emails. Do I need you to visit my website and learn about me there? No. Would it be a nice benefit in terms of a place to send some content to? Absolutely. But we still can make our businesses work even in 2014 without a website. That being said, they work really well and you should really build one. Start with one sequence, get it in place, and then build it from there. Again, remember the simple fact to remember this all. How many emails are going to be in your first campaign, your first sequence? Just one. We all start somewhere. Yet as soon as we get that momentum in place, then it becomes the task of, this one's done. Let me do this one now. Then we have 2 sequences running. Add another, 3, then 4, then 5. And at this point, you're listening to someone presenting this information who has dozens and dozens of sequences. Dozens and dozens of campaigns and different lead generation strategies. And I mentioned before that, isn't it wonderful to have a business where you could go in and have the wonderful problem of, I'm too busy, I need to slow things down so I'm not getting as many calls. It's a nice problem to have sometimes. And how do I handle that? If I really want to, if we're maxed out here, I could be booking so far in advance or just slow down my campaigns. Now, that's a problem I want you to have in the future, not now. Let's get there later. So again, my encouragement to you, spend some time. Watch this video twice. You're going to see things you didn't see when we go back to that video clip. You're going to hear things from an entirely different perspective now that you've also seen it as well. Watch this video twice. Join us on Wednesday, March 26, 2014, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. One more time, the wonders of title graphics, budurl.com/hypnotismsuccess03. Again, my name is Jason Linett, and I look forward to hearing of your success in your business very soon. Thanks so much.